Yes, the Nintendo Switch 2 is selling like hotcakes. Units are literally flying off the shelves. People are excited for the new hardware, and in terms of sheer interest, Nintendo's riding high. But here's the twist. Apparently, nobody's buying third-party games.
What is up, dudes? It's your boy Andy Matrix. I am back on Angry Guys YouTube channel. You read the title. You've read the title. Man, I gotta say, I don't get tired of talking smack about the Nintendo Switch. I don't get tired of talking smack about Nintendo. As a matter of fact, it's kind of satisfying. It's actually kind of satisfying. I'm sure not the only one. But imagine buying a brand new gaming console with no games. Huh? You pay $500, $600, well, in this case, $1,000. No games. Zero. Zip. Nada. Except Mario Kart. Yeah. That's what we're talking. Guys, if you haven't heard of me yet, make sure to check out Andy Matrix Gaming. I talk about video games. I talk about Japanese culture and anime. Okay, if you're into those things, make sure to click the link below. Click the link in the description and go ahead and follow me down there. And guys, make sure to follow Angry Guy on Rumble, because YouTube has become the censor station, and Angry Guy is uploading his videos over to Rumble. Yeah, it's more freedom over there. It's you know, it's a little better over there when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to saying whatever you want. Also, guys, do not let anybody tell you that you'll own nothing and be happy. Okay, invest into cryptocurrency. Check out Angry Guy's Crypto Academy, where you can learn how to buy, sell, and trade crypto. You can learn how to day trade crypto, make a profit off of crypto before the prices go up. Right now, I think Bitcoin is at 100,000 right now. In a few years, it's gonna go to 200,000, 300,000, even a million. Anyways, let's go ahead and get to it. Yeah, so gamers are leaving the Nintendo Switch. Gamers are not bothering with the Nintendo Switch. Okay? Because like I said, you buy a console and then you got no games for it. The only game for it is the Mario Kart, and not everybody's excited for Mario Kart. I'm not a racing type of dude. I don't like racing games. I like adventure games. Give me RPGs, adventure, God of War, Final Fantasy. That's my shit. If I buy a Nintendo Switch and there's nothing in it of that genre, I'll be so pissed. I'm gonna want to punch somebody on the nose, dang it. Okay. I didn't mean to get all violent. But hear me out. No one is buying Nintendo Switch 2 games. No one is buying them. Not everyone wants to play Mario Kart. More and more games, right? No, excuse me, not more and more games. More and more gamers are standing up to Nintendo and giving them the middle finger. We talked about people returning their Nintendo Switch. You go on social media. There are people that are returning their Nintendo Switch after like a few days. They'll buy it for like, I don't know. They'll buy the first day, then after like maybe like up to a week they'll return it. After a week they'll return it, maybe get half the money back. I mean, if you could get at least like 50% of your money back, I guess that's cool. That's decent. But some people return it like 48 hours later and get more money back. Yeah. We also talked about the battery problem with the Nintendo Switch. The battery swelling. And then, of course, you had the Nintendo fanboys defending that, like, no, that's normal. Battery swelling is normal, yeah. And Samsung batteries blowing up on an airplane, that's also normal, right? Yeah, sure it is. We also talked about the game key cards, which is a huge controversial topic with Nintendo. They're just giving you software key licenses, basically. Actually, no, because back then in the 2000s, when you bought a software and you had the serial number, you owned that shit. You own it. But now you don't. Now you got a game key card, you don't really own it. That's a permission. That's a permission key card. Okay, also Nintendo breaking your console. I mean, what else could go wrong? The list goes on and on and on and on. We've covered so many topics on Nintendo. We talked about how the competition is actually surpassing Nintendo. They're surpassing Nintendo. And it's only a matter of time before Nintendo fans become PC gamers. Because what else is there left? When you leave Nintendo, where do you go? Xbox, PlayStation, and a lot of those games are on the PC. And people are like, well, I don't want to just go ahead and buy a PS5 now. Well, let me just go ahead and go on Steam and just buy it for like 25% off. Bam! PC Master Race on the rise. Make sure to shave your head so you can look cool like me. Okay, no. I mean, you don't have to shave your head to look like a total PC gaming Chad, bro. Anyways, we got another YouTuber today that is going to explain this a little more smoothly than I am. His YouTube name is 8BE. 8BE. Yeah. Roll the clip.
Yes, the Nintendo Switch 2 is selling like hotcakes. Units are literally flying off the shelves. People are excited for the new hardware, and in terms of sheer interest, Nintendo's riding high. But here's the twist. Apparently, nobody's buying third-party games, and that's not just an opinion, that's actual sales data. So what's going on? Why are people spending hundreds on the new console, but leaving shelves full of launch games untouched? Well, it's because of game card keys. Let's dig into it. According to a recent industry report making the rounds, several third-party publishers are seriously disappointed in their launch performance on the Switch 2. One insider even said their numbers were below their lowest estimates. That's a brutal statement, especially when the hardware itself is selling out. This is a big red flag. When your audience is buying your console but not your games, developers take note. That's how you start seeing games skip platforms entirely. Remember the Wii U era? It started off strong with third-party games, and then they all but vanished, except like the heavy hidden companies like Capcom and so forth. The Wii U didn't get supported by third-party as strong as it should have been, and that's because third-party sales were weak on it at launch. But let's be honest here, guys. It's no surprise. As soon as we saw all those game key cards being made, and most of the third-party games for the Nintendo Switch 2 were game key cards, a lot of people were like, nope, we're not buying it. I hope these people are smart enough to realize that they messed up. But we all know how corporations work. They're going to do the math, and then they're going to be like, well, why even bother to put our games on the Switch 2 if nobody buys it? That's how it is. The gamers are always the ones at fault. A big chunk of the Switch 2's launch library, though, was older games that we've already played. Sometimes even years ago on better platforms. I mean, we're talking about titles like Yakuza 0, played that on Xbox Series X like 2 years ago. Street Fighter 6, played that on Xbox Series X a couple years ago. Sonic Frontiers, played that several years ago. I mean, they're all great games. You got Cyberpunk on top of that. But these aren't new games. This is stuff that we've already been there and done that on. These are ports of titles that already exist on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, consoles, and platforms that are a lot better than what the Switch 2 is offering. I love the Switch 2. I'm having fun with it. But Cyberpunk, I played that eons ago on a better platform. Sure, the Switch 2's portable, but why are we going to be paying more? Publishers are literally slapping $60 or $70 price tags on these ports, and they're expecting us to just consume, but it's not happening. Because I can go and get Cyberpunk on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox for probably less than half of that. Like a $20, $30 price point instead of $70, right? But that's only half the story of what's going on here, guys. The game key cards, Nintendo's latest attempt at making physical games that are not really physical. That's literally what it comes down to. Here's how it works, okay? You buy a game in a box, you open it up, and inside's a Switch cartridge that doesn't actually contain the game. It's just a license key that prompts you to download the whole thing. It's pretty much like buying a chocolate bar and finding out the wrapper's empty with a coupon to go get chocolate from the internet. I mean, that's it. And fans hate it. But what's funny is you see a lot of, I guess, Nintendo diehards trying to say, well, the Xbox and PlayStation already do this. Why are you guys upset? Because Xbox and PlayStation, they're not price gouging most of their third-party games. It's the price point that's getting the backlash, guys. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to pay for game key cards for older games such as the ones I listed, that I can get on Game Pass, I can get on PlayStation Plus, I can get for $20 or less. Why are we spending $70 for game keys? These companies need to realize that people don't want it. People hate it, guys. If you scroll through any Nintendo subreddit or any collector's forum, people aren't stupid. They know this is the publishers cutting corners.
Yeah, that's right. That is right. That is right. And one of the most controversial things about Nintendo really is just, you buy it, you own nothing and be happy. Which reminds me, guys, go ahead and check out Angry Guys Crypto Academy, where you can learn how to buy crypto, buy and sell crypto, invest into crypto, day trade in crypto, make a profit off of crypto. You don't have to have like thousands, millions of dollars. You can do it with like $100. So click the link in the description. Go check out Crypto Academy by Angry Guy.
Hey guys, in a world pushing you to own nothing and be happy, crypto is your key to survival. Join Angry's Crypto Academy to master buying, selling, and trading crypto. Make huge profits and safeguard your wealth. Plus, discover the one crypto virtually no one is talking about, poised to create new millionaires in the upcoming bull run. The link is in the description of the video below. Go check it out now.
Okay, now, if you want to play AAA games, let's face it, the Nintendo Switch 2 is not the best console to play them. There are many other options. The PlayStation runs 4K games beautifully. Same thing for the Xbox. If you have a PC, if you have a gaming PC, mine is 2K, and the games run beautifully on mines, bro. Beautifully on mines. For real. Okay? The Switch 2 hardware. The Switch 2 hardware was not made for these AAA games. Okay, developers literally have to dumb down their games like God of War, like Cyberpunk 2077, like Hot Wars Legacy, like Final Fantasy Remake, Horizon Zero Dawn, all those games that came out for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and so on. If you translate them over to the Switch, you gotta dumb them down graphically, and I think some effects also have to be dumbed down. Because to play those amazing games on a cheap-ass hardware, on a cheaply made and overpriced hardware like the Nintendo Switch 2, you might as well just get the Xbox Rock Ally or the Steam Deck, or what's the other one? The Aya Neo, there's a whole bunch of other ones. There's a whole bunch of other ones. A handheld gaming PC. There's actually a market. There's actually a whole market for it now, man. That's crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, but the Switch 2 hardware was not made for these AAA games. It really wasn't. I mean, if Nintendo really wanted to put all these games on their hardware, did they not think about the computing power that was required? Nintendo always chooses like the cheapest thing. They never use enough RAMs or a good enough processing chip. I remember playing Final Fantasy X on the Switch 1, on the original Switch. Final Fantasy X for the Switch. There were times where like they would show like those ants on the screen where like the game would just show noise. Yeah, I would see that. I would see that it happens, man. It really happens. I don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm no expert. And these games have not come out for the Nintendo Switch yet. But let's say you play Final Fantasy VII Remake on the Switch 2. I imagine the game will start crashing. And another thing that I wanted to say about the key cards, I think that many people probably didn't think about this. But, I've talked about this before, and is that modern games, especially for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox, modern games are, they're big, they're huge. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake. Oh, Final Fantasy Rebirth is like 100 gigabytes. It's 100 gigabytes, the whole game. And so Nintendo doesn't have enough storage for that. So you guys understand what I mean? You guys know where I'm getting at, right? Nintendo doesn't have enough storage for that. for such a game. I was thinking maybe that's one of the reasons why they came out with the key cards. Is that one of the reasons? Or maybe I'm just talking out of my ass here. Right, but maybe Nintendo didn't take into considerations that modern games are huge, 100 gigabytes. I think a part of Nintendo is just very old school. They're just very old school. They're maybe they're not really keeping up with the new stuff. And I also highly doubt that, because you're a gaming company, you're supposed to keep up with the industry. But they always choose to use, like a lighter hardware. And I'm just thinking, is that why they decided to go with the key cards? Maybe are the key cards better for games, for bigger games that are 50, 100 gigabytes? Is that it? Is that it? Or maybe I'm miscalculating here. Maybe I'm not thinking right about this issue. But anyways, I just thought I'd throw that out there. Also, Nintendo really can't complain that people aren't buying their game. They should have made their console much more stronger. Maybe we wouldn't be having this issue. Anyways, let's go back to 8BE. Roll the clip.
110%, because there's only one cartridge size, a 64 gigabyte cartridge, and people aren't going to pay money for a 64 gigabyte cartridge if their game is way less than that. If it's substantially less than that, they're going to cut corners. And on Switch 2 right now, only 4 out of the 26 physical launch games are actually playable straight out of the cartridge. Everything else is a fake plastic placeholder. And I see people trying to shame and cope about this and kind of be snarky and sassy towards gamers. I saw a tweet that was like, say what you want about it, but eventually you're going to buy a game key card. No, I'm not. I would rather get digital than a game key card. Hands down. Because there's no point in having that game key card. It's the same thing as a digital game. And if you buy game key cards, you're showing these publishers, these corporations, that they can get away with whatever they want. I've already accepted the digital age years ago, console generations ago, and that's how I got Hogwarts Legacy. That's how I got Rune Factory. That's how I'm going to be getting other games, is I would just rather buy a whole bunch of eShop cards and get it digitally, because it's not going to be real physical media. And if we buy that form of physical media, then we're never going to get an actual cartridge ever again that has the game on it. Okay, and this has become a problem, honestly, that many diehard collectors are refusing. They don't want to buy game key card titles altogether, myself included. And based on this report, right, that refusal is clearly showing up in the sales charts. Now, interestingly enough, there is one third-party game that is a huge success story on the Switch 2. It is Cyberpunk 2077. And I actually bought that. I bought that game, even though it was way more overpriced than what I could get on Xbox, which I already own. But I supported it because it's actually on the cartridge. There's no downloads. Sure, you get like an update patch, but the game is on there. There's no fake outs. You pop it on and it plays, right? It's almost like people just want to buy a game and play it. Shocking. Yeah, shocking, guys. I know. So yeah, the number one best-selling third-party game on the Switch 2 is the one that treated fans with respect. It's almost like that means something still, this day and age, right? Respect the consumer. And the backlash, honestly, just isn't about key cards, okay? It's about what they represent. Like I was saying, it's laziness, it's greed. Publishers have openly admitted that it cost them around $4 to ship a key card versus the 15 that it takes to press an actual cartridge. And since these are ports of games that are already, I guess, old, they've already made their money, they're just trying to cut costs wherever they can. The problem is they're cutting corners at the expense of fan trust. And once you lose the trust of your fans and your consumers, it's done. Switch fans aren't the same as Xbox, PlayStation, or PC players, okay? On Xbox, physical games are practically dead at this point because of Game Pass. On PC, everything's digital. PlayStation, they still are struggling out there, but you'll see the occasional physical release. For the most part, they're also going digital, right? But Nintendo has always had this loyal base of collectors. Like, look behind me right there. That's NES games. That's Nintendo. I have Mario Kart World physical here. They want that cartridge. They want that shelf appeal. That's just how Nintendo fans are, right? And with this game key situation, you're disrespecting that at your own risk. Okay, and this is as the result of it. This whole report of third-party sales being lower than expected, lower than their estimates that were already conservative. So I'm not saying the Switch 2 is a failure. People like to put that word or that sentence in my mouth. It's far from it. The hardware is great. I'm having a great time with it. The games that are actually working are fun. Mario Kart World, like I pointed out, is a freaking banger, and it's selling insanely well. And that's all we can ask for, is a fun game that could occupy us and entertain us and actually have an option to have it physically and be fully on the cartridge like it is, right? What I'm saying is that the third-party publishers need to wake up. People aren't going to pay premium prices for games they already own on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, especially when these games are locked behind a download. And it's a download key that's disguised as a cartridge. If you want to start your game on Switch, guys, here's the secret formula. Step 1, put the game on a cartridge. Step 2, price it fairly. And 3, don't treat your customers like idiots. So, at the end of the day, Nintendo fans, all of us, myself included, we're hungry for new experiences. A lot of these games that just came out weren't on the Switch OG. They didn't buy a Switch 2 just to replay old games, though, in slightly better resolution. Like, okay, cool, we got a better screen, right? They want new worlds. They want new stories, new adventures, new experiences. They want to own the game they paid for on top of that, guys. But until publishers figure it out, we're going to keep seeing reports like this. Like, oh, third-party games are not selling, right? We're going to see that. And then there's going to be a whole bunch of weak software numbers, but strong console numbers. It's almost like what happened with previous console generations before the Switch, right? And then you're going to have all these developers, oh, what went wrong? What went wrong? Oh, the gamers aren't supporting it. It's always going to be the gamers that are to blame, guys.
Thank you very much, 8BE. And also, I was thinking, how much longer until Nintendo drops the price of the game? Right? Because eventually, if nobody's buying the games, nobody's buying games that they already played on the PC, on the Xbox, on the PlayStation, right? We already played God of War. I played God of War like 4 or 5 times already. I played Final Fantasy VII Remake. I played, Hogwarts Legacy twice already. I played it twice. So why the heck would I go and, just play it again on a console that's not even to the level of the PS4. That's another thing. It's like, wasn't the Switch 2 supposed to be at the level of the PS4? But it's not. It's actually not, according to some people. According to what people have been ranting about. Right, I cannot wait to see all these games crashing. Cyberpunk 2077 crashing on the Switch 2. A game that's supposed to be graphics heavy on graphics. Dumbed down to a simple device like the Switch 2. Yeah, so you really can't blame the developers for opting out of the Switch 2. Developers don't really want to make games for it anymore. So, yeah. Can't blame them. So Nintendo, they're going to have to drop the price from $70, $80, all the way back to $50, $40. Stop being so damn greedy, man. They seriously got to be so damn greedy. Don't blame the prices on inflation. Don't blame the prices on inflation. Especially if you're selling the digital copy. What? How is inflation affecting a digital product that you can download directly to your computer? What are the megabytes? Inflation on the megabytes? It costs more to download? Really? They'll probably say something stupid. Well, the energy bills are up. Shut up. Energy bills are not up everywhere, you idiots. I imagine making up some shit like that. Well, because of the price of gas and power, the electric bills are up, and so we had to pay higher electric bills, and we gotta raise the price. I kind of sound like Obama now, but don't make some excuse like that. Don't make some stupid excuse like that. Anyways, guys, it's your boy Andy Matrix. Whatever your thoughts are, make sure to comment below. Tell me what you think. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for future notifications. Everybody, it's your boy Andy Matrix. Godspeed, baby.